I've just cut this pepper in half, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a photograph of it so I can zoom in at the details. I'm going to draw it, and then I'm going to do a watercolour painting of it to show you the technique that you can use to start adding some paint to your drawings. So here you can see that what I've done is I've taken a photograph of the half a pepper, and I've done this so that what I can do is I can just zoom in to see some details if I need to. But for colour reference as well, it's useful, and obviously I've got the real thing in front of me, which is always better. But this is the angle I've drawn it at, so I'm going to use that for reference as well. So here's my drawing. I've actually drawn it a little bit darker than I would do usually so that you can see it on the camera. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to go and get my paints and get going. Okay, I just want to quickly show you some of the equipment I'm going to be using and the techniques I'm going to be using today to make it a bit easier. So I've got a medium watercolour brush and a little thin brush, and then I've got my watercolours here, and these are roughly the colours I'm going to be using, but I will be using some green, which is over there, and obviously I've got some water, and I've got a little bit of paper just to show you. So when you use watercolours, you're just going to pick up your colour. What I tend to do to start off with, now I'm going to go for this reddy colour. I'll be using this and this red here quite a lot because these are the colours of my pepper, which is here. Okay, so you might not be able to see, no, pop that there. So basically I've got my colour roughly there, but it might be too strong. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off by just watering it down. So when I'm going to put my paint on the paper, I'm going to start off by putting my paint down, and then at some point, if I want the colour to be softer, I'm just going to add water in and spread it out like that. And that's basically how we work with watercolour, in layers, so we can go from dark to light. I will have to add some detail later on once that's dried, and what I'll be doing there is using my little thin brush and then adding, I'll just pick up a little bit of a darker colour. I've got a green here. Once it's dry, I will be adding some darker, a bit more water on that, some darker and stronger colours in. Let me get some dark red actually, because that'll pick up this darker red. So when I want to add my shadows, I'm going to want to go darker with some thicker paint. You can see that's a lot stronger. I'm using it straight from the palette. I'm not watering it down as well. And that will allow me to get some nice detail in there later on. So the two colours and the two techniques I'm using are working straight onto the paper from the paint and using a wash, what we call a wash of colour. Which is water, paint mixed with water, and then watering that down by adding water to it like that. Right, so they're the techniques we're going to be using today, so I'll get my stuff together and we'll get going. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I've got all my equipment, I've got my paints all ready, I've got my painting, I've got my photograph here, which is what I'm going to be using for colour reference. And I'm going to be mixing my stuff over here. You can't see it very well. Right, okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is block in my basic colours. So I'm not going to use strong colour to start off with. I'm just going to look at the colours, the pepper, and I'm just going to try to mix a basic colour and put it everywhere. So the first colour I'm going to start off with is the colour I've shown you, which is this nice sort of basic red colour. Now I'm not going to go really, really heavy. I'm just going to do a nice light tone of it. So I'm going to start by using the two colours, the orange and the orangey red that I used just a minute ago to mix. And they're the basic colours I'm going to be using for the whole of this pepper. So that's a little bit red. So what I'm going to do, let me just move that so you can see a bit better. I'm going to mix some orange into it, and you can see it's quite a good match for my pepper, which is here as well. Okay, so I'm looking at both my pepper and my photograph. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put this basic colour down, but I'm going to water it down first, because what I want is a thinner layer of that colour. So I'm just going to do that wherever I can see that colour. Okay, so if I look, I can see it all around here. This is all this nice red colour. I'm going to put that in. So when you are painting anything, you want to hold your paintbrush on the silver bit like you'd hold a pen or a pencil, really get some control. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to slightly move that out of my way so I can access this. I'm looking at this, it's, yeah, okay, so it's all this red colour. I'm just putting my paint on in smooth lines in the direction that I want it to go. Like this, and when I get to the edges, I'm trying to drag it in a nice smooth line like that, rather than do what some people try and do, which is, let me pick up a bit more paint, do dabs like that, which gives you a very messy line. So what I'm doing, let me just put my picture back on, is I'm just looking at my picture and putting down this colour here all the way around where I can see it's darker red. So I'm just going to put that on quickly. Okay, so I've done a layer where I wanted me red to go. Let me just shift that slightly. There we go. Right, so if you look at this bit here on the pepper, you can see that it fades from this dark red, let me move it, dark red into white here and into sort of a lighter pinky red. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take some water on my brush and I'm just going to spread this colour out slightly to create this shape here. So let me just get some more water. Okay, I'm just going to spread that to make this rounded shape. I'm going to try and spread it in that type of shape there. But most importantly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this bit white. You see all this area here that's white? I'm not going to paint that, so I'm just going to let that fade like that there. So that's that. That is that. I've painted that bit there. I might add a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but it is, let me move it there. It's a little bit more yellowy, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of my yellow on my brush. I'm just going to dab a little bit of yellow into that, just to sort of maybe change the tone of that to make it slightly more yellowy. I don't know if the camera's picking that up very well. Right, okay, so that's that little bit done. I've left that bit white. And then if you have a look here, this colour, actually, if you look at it, I don't know if you can see, but inside it, there are little shapes. They're like, let me just focus that. Little sort of, like, they look like the segments inside an orange, actually. Now, basically, I haven't got time to paint all of them. So what I am going to do is I'm actually going to try to just mix that as a solid colour. Okay, so I'm going to pick up this red here, which is sort of more of a pinky red. And I'm going to put that down just a bit over here, mix it in slightly more. I'm going to start off because I actually think more of a pinky red might work, but it's also a little bit brown. So I'm going to pick up a bit of brown. I mean, I'm making this up as I go along, and that's all you do when when you learn how to mix, when you want to learn how to mix colours, what you need to do is just trial and error. Okay, that's quite a nice colour. Let me just see how that looks. It might be a bit warm. So what I've got to do is avoid painting these seeds. Okay, I don't want to paint my seeds. I want to keep the white of the paper for the seeds. So I'm going to have to paint around them. Now I'm going to use this brush. I'm going to use the tip of this brush to try to avoid painting the seeds. But if you're not confident in terms of your brush control, which takes practice, then use your thinner brush if you've got one. Okay, so I'm just going to put this darker tone in. I can see as I'm doing it now, it's not blue enough, it's too brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue painting this down. I might as well do a layer of it and then I'll come back to it. Okay, I'm going to paint, yep, all the way. Let me zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. Paint all the way like this. Pick that colour up. And just try and cover all of that area with one flat colour to start off with. Right, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to paint all of this section and this section, then I'll come back. Okay, I'll block that bit in. Now what I'm going to do is this colour, which is a really pale, I'd say like a warm orangey colour. So actually, do you know what? I'm going to use this colour. I might put a bit of yellow into it. Just have a little mix. Yeah, slightly more like that colour. And then I'm watering it down loads. Really, really watering it down. And I'm even going to try it on the side of my paper there, just to see. Can you see that's really dark? So I don't want that much water on my brush. what I do want to do is like spread that out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to try with that. So all of this area here, all around here, oh, you can't see that, can you? All of this area here is going to be painted this lighter tone. So I'm just going to start putting this more orangey colour in. And where it's white, like these bits look really white in the photo, I'm just going to take the colour up to that area. And as before, let me just get this bit right. This bit here is really dark, but I'm just going to leave it this light tone to start off with. As I said, just blocking my colours in like this. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water on my brush. And I'm going to spread that out just so it blends into the white a little bit more naturally. Okay, so that's that bit done. As I get to this bit here and here, it's slightly darker, it's slightly more of the orangey colour. So what I can do is I can just start going in here like this with this slightly dark colour. Again, really carefully trying to avoid, whoops, I've just painted one of them, never mind. Trying to avoid painting the seeds as much as you can. Okay. So at the moment, this is all looking very flat because we've not got any tone on here. What we've got is a flat area of colour, but we've actually not bothered to put any, or we haven't got to the tonal bit yet, which is the darker colours, the darker, more strong colour. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do here is it's green, so I'm just going to pick up a green. Not got a great mix of greens, so I'm just going to use, I'm going to mix two greens together and see what I end up with. You can't see that, but you'll see in a sec. Right, so I'm just going to put this green on. I'm going to paint these. Yeah, it's slightly too blue, that green, but never mind. I'll put a bit of yellow on top of it later. Okay, I'm going to put the green bits in. Like that. And I'm going to leave that because it's too green. It's not the right tone. But what I am going to do is I'm going to pick up a little bit of water on this brush. And I'm going to create this pale green by just dragging this across to create my pale green colour. Okay.